All right. Good evening and good night, and welcome to the It's Your Perspective Talk Show. It is Thursday, August 21st, 2025. This is the It's Your Perspective Talk Show podcast every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until. We are coming to you from the beautiful island of St. Croix, Virgin Islands. Um, this podcast is live on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, brought to us by StreamYard.com. What else we got? Bingy Soup. Still, he was back for one show 500, but he is back on special assignment. He'll be back soon. Check us out. Give us a like, a share, a follow, comment on Facebook. Right now, I'm streaming through I Am David Christian. Later on this evening, the show will be brought to you on live from the Virgin Islands. That's our business page, live from the Virgin Islands. But as we move on here, we do have a special guest in the studio. Let me bring him up there. There he is right there, Mark Milligan II. And I must say, brother man, how do you pronounce your middle name?
Yes. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Um, Mark Feijao Milligan II. It's a nickname. It's not my given name. It was a nickname.
Okay,
Is
pronounced Feijao.
Feijao. Yeah.
Feijao.
It
Okay, perfect,
means
perfect. And also, I want to give a shout out to Joyce. Joyce was actually able
yeah.
to put this together for us. I don't know
Yeah.
if Joyce told you that we were classmates. We graduated in 1982 from she graduated from St. Joseph, and I
hmm
graduated from Central. But
hmm
in ninth grade, we were in the same high school, which was St. Joseph. I transferred to Central for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and that's where I graduated from. But uh,
Nice.
I saw Joyce just maybe about a month, 2 months ago here on St. Croix. Hadn't seen her since 1982, and we were kind of talking a little bit, and she was telling me, "Oh, I got a cousin that is here doing a art. I guess you had an art
Ex-
presentation
yeah.
in Frederiksted, but we'll get to that. But you're a fine artist. You're a
Yes.
digital designer,
Yeah.
and this other word here I never really heard of before. Uh,
Capoeirista.
yes, what is that?
Yeah, so I'm a practitioner of Capoeira Angola. It's a martial art, but it's of African origin that kind of was kind of formed and birthed within Brazil. So it's Afro-Brazilian, uh,
Okay,
and it's a practice that I learned from my teacher, Mestre João Grande, who currently lives in New York.
okay, I got you. So when did you get into art?
So the visual arts in particular happened at a very early age. Honestly, I don't have memory without the visual arts. It's something
Okay,
that has been part of my life from birth, well, from when I could hold, something in my hand.
yes,
My earliest memories of my parents are, of them like teaching me how to draw. And because it was, back in the days when we didn't have like the iPhones and these kind of devices to kind of keep us busy. So oftentimes if I wanted to do something or wanted to be, to kind of get involved in something, I would be given like a piece of paper and a pen and a pencil. And
yeah.
as a child you can just create worlds. Like I just love the process of just you can go into this paper, you can use this pen, and you can just create a whole other world there.
Okay, so your early beginnings were on St. Croix.
Correct. So born and raised. So I grew
Okay,
up in Frederiksted. My mother is Carmen Martinez Milligan, and my
okay,
father is the senior, so Mark, Milligan Senior. And
okay,
yeah, so St. Croix is where it's at. I was born and raised, stayed in St. Croix until 17, and then at 17 I moved to New York.
okay. And so you were saying back in them days, I guess as a way to just, I won't say discipline, but here's son, here's a piece of pen and paper or a pencil or maybe a crayon, and you just started creating and looking at life and maybe replicating it. Is that kind of a little more
Yeah,
detail?
because honestly, it wasn't even like they would give it to me, but honestly, it was also something that I did that was very like easy, accessible. You know, I
Mm,
think certain people are born with they lean towards communication in different ways. Like
mm,
some people are more physical, like they may dance, they may move their body, like that is a way that they can really express themselves within this world. Some people are really good with words, you know, like so whether or not they're writing it or they're an orator, like this is what they do. But for me, I always felt like my skill set, my I was most comfortable
mm.
with within the visual world.
Okay.
So early age, like if I was given the choice between, you know, standing up in front of a group of people and speaking, or, you know, creating a piece of artwork in front of people and having that be like my voice, I would always choose the artwork.
Okay. Do you remember some of your early drawings?
Yeah, like actually one of my first drawings, and this will really put the age on it too, was learning how to draw Woody Woodpecker. um
Mm.
like the cartoon, you know, and
Yes.
that's all like, you know, like I remember like the process. I remember the room I was in when I was learning. It was in the living room, and I remember the time of day. You know, it was
Mm.
in the afternoon. I remember who was teaching. You know, my father was showing me, and I remember the process of actually looking down at the paper. I remember the perspective. You know, being
Uh,
lowered in perspective. So like, you know, the table was like here. So I remember the, you know, with a lot of clarity, the lesson,
mhm.
that experience, and yeah, I remember a lot of my process.
Okay. Were your mom and dad artists as well?
No, my father is a lawyer at the time. Currently, he also has a background in his history, like a
Uh,
historian.
okay.
Like he leans very much into my family in general. Actually, they lean very much into their not only their history but just history in general.
Okay.
Um, and then my mother, she's a teacher, an educator.
Mm.
So that's the kind of background I grew up in. So our living room was like full of books. Like,
Okay.
yeah,
I got you. So are they still alive? They still here on St. Croix?
yes, they're blessed to have them alive. My father still lives in St. Croix, and my
Mm.
mother lives in Virginia.
Okay. Okay. Good, man. Good, 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 man. So as you're moving on now, so you're 8, 9 years old, and you're saying to yourself, "Wow, I can draw. I can grab a pencil or a crayon." And were you painting too, or this is just more pencil and that kind of
Yes,
stuff?
earlier on it was more what was available, and that was more kind of like the pencil, the crayon, dry materials. And
Okay.
you know, like it's much more portable too, because I used to like to carry stuff around with me. We go to like, you know, we go out to dinner, and like I would be drawing at the dinner table. So that was very available. But then when I got into high school is when I was really exposed to so much more. So I had the blessing of being instructed by Cindy Mail. I think you've had her on the show before.
Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes. Yes.
she's amazing, and maybe she'll watch this and she'll see this. But yeah, she inspired not only me but so many other people coming up,
Mm.
um, that have actually gone different routes. Some people have gone into architecture, some people have gone into art history, and you know, just, but for me, I've gone into the fine arts. But a lot of the basis of what I'm working from is from high school, working with Cindy Mail. Like,
Mm.
you know, I went from drawing a lot of comic books to then working with watercolor. She exposed us to watercolor and just the
Mm.
color and the palette that you can get from that, and then into acrylic paints and into gouache and into, you know, it was a beautiful
It was
experience.
wide open at that point. Yeah.
At that point, even architecture, art history, and I'm getting all of this in high school. So
Okay.
I ended up going to college at a very good school. It's the School of Visual Arts. Like, you know, it's reputable, well-established school in New York.
Mm.
The history lessons, the art history lessons that I was receiving in high school, you know, and no disrespect to the School of Visual Arts, but I was getting some like college level art history classes in high school.
In high school. Okay. Okay. Well, shout out to Cindy Mail, man. I know her. She's been on several times, and we love Cindy here, man.
Hmm.
A lot of people have many kind of things to say about Cindy
Hmm.
when it comes to the art, and we call her, but she does yoga too. and
Yes.
she was our what we call our resident yoga specialist, come on the show, and she was all into all this kind of things like that. So it was
Yeah.
very interesting. So this is high school now. You say you go to college, and I mean, so what did you learn? I mean, you said you went to a reputable college, but and you said that what you learned was more valuable in high school. But what did you get from college, if anything at all?
I think one of the beautiful things, and I got a lot of things from college, but for me, a lot of what happened in college was actually outside of the classroom.
Okay.
Because now I'm in an environment like New York where, on the island in St. Croix, there were some of us, like there was the Monica Marines, there was the Aristus Mitchells, there was, I had peers that were very much into the arts, but like there were a handful of us.
Mm-hmm.
But now you get to New York and you're in a space where there's not just a handful of people. Now there's like hundreds, thousands of people that are as charged about the artwork as you are. So
Mm-hmm.
I was meeting. So what New York really did was kind of just open my eyes up to how this is really just like a global,
Mm-hmm.
experience. This is like a human, like experience. And I knew it was, but it's another thing to actually be there and to be interacting with people from, Hong Kong, from, Korea, from, Brazil, Mexico, just from all over, and
Mm-hmm.
just being as charged about the artwork. That was what was most beautiful to me about it, because we would go to the classrooms, we would work on the artwork, but then we'd come back to the dorms. Then, like we're working on the artwork together in the evening, we're collaborating, we're
Mm-hmm.
talking, we're having fun, we're just going through the city. So the experience of being in New York and being together with peers
Mm-hmm.
was what made college for me really beautiful.
Okay. So at this point, I guess you've probably decided that, I don't know, maybe you thought you could make a living at this, or you were just still fascinated by the whole thing of art and being an artist.
Yeah, so I went in with the intention of being able to make a living off of this, even from high school. Like I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is. I wasn't even necessarily at that point thinking about making a living off of it. It was more so like, this is what I know I'm on this planet to do. Like,
Okay.
just like, this is my purpose.
Yes.
Everything else will just kind of like have to fall into place. But I know that I cannot do this. Like I need to do certain things. I need to like drink liquids. I need to
Mm-hmm.
sleep. I need to eat. For me, creating artwork is on that level. Like if
Oh,
I'm not creating or doing something, or because there's a lot of downloads that happen, right? Like there's a lot of
mm,
information that's coming, whether or not it's like, just inspiration that's coming. And for it not to be able to come out feels like it's a feeling is almost like a suffocation. So I
okay.
knew that I needed to do this. So everything
Mm.
else had to fall into place. And that's a whole other story if you want me to get into it.
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. I mean, so obviously, when you say you weren't really doing this for the money, you loved it. Um, but I mean, ultimately, you're like, damn, man, I'm painting this beautiful picture here. I could put this in an art gallery and sell it for $500. I mean,
Mhm.
at some point, that probably crossed your mind, right?
Yeah, but then also there's a reality. Like for example, like I was in college and I remember this was like the last year. Last year, I'm like senior in college. The president of the school is in front of us. He's preparing us for leaving, and before he ends what he's saying, he says, and statistically, about 10% of you all will be able to live off of what you've learned here. And then he ends it, and I'm like, we're like sitting here, and we're like 10%, and we're looking around, like, so basically he's saying 90% of us are not going to be able to live off of this.
Yes.
This is like, and I'm a senior, I've already paid everything, like I'm a senior, everything's done. Um, so then the reality, once I graduated and being in the real world of being an artist and the whole concept of being like a starving artist became a little bit more real, because
Mm,
there is some truth to that, like, um, and then, I had to kind of like find my different, avenues. I had to find the balance. And for me, I've been able to find that balance by doing web design, by doing media, and having I have a full career in that realm. Like,
yeah.
for since maybe 1999.
Okay. So that part didn't come along until later on, because early on in high school, it was just more drawing. But as time
Correct.
has changed, web pages and all the stuff comes about.
Correct. And now they run in tandem. So I have a world that's, very much media based, very much web based, and very much design based. And then I have a world that's very much art based. And at this point, they're actually starting to kind of inform each other.
Mm,
There's a lot of blending that's happening right now, which is, for me, I find it very beautiful.
yeah. So when the whole thing of, I guess digital art and websites and also came about, I mean, what did you think about it? I mean, because I was around, early on, when there was no internet,
Hmm.
and ultimately,
Exactly.
it came about. But as an artist, you're drawing with your hand, and then now you can buy software to help you create.
Hmm.
What did you think about that part of it?
I think there is, and I kind of see where you're going with that, because it's like, I think there is a beauty to the digital world, and there's a lot that you can do. But then there's also something that's really beautiful about like the old school, because like there was a definite kind of contrast, because as you say, like we were kind of coming up in a world where this new thing is developing, but then there's a lot of like emphasis on the old. Like for example, when I was at SVA, I was studying under some like masters of the just like painting, oil painting, acrylic, of just like using your hand and looking and just getting that kind of like the line just perfect.
Mm,
No kind of digital interface at all. And now
mm,
you're coming into a world where you can use Photoshop, take a photo, use Photoshop, manipulate it, do all these kind of things, and then use that as a basis for your drawing. And you're able to kind of get past a lot of what the old school techniques and kind of spending that time. So for me, I feel like there was a balance there, in that like I was actually able to get a lot of that old school kind of knowledge, and I spent the time on working on perspective. I did, I drew, and spent time working from a skeletal system, and then we would
mm.
build on the muscular system on top of that. So we spent the time on that. So I live in both worlds though, because as I mentioned before, like I am a web designer during the day too.
Mhm.
So what I find is that it also has informed my artwork. So I will take a photo and manipulate it in Photoshop, but then I have this skill to be able to back it up and to be able to like take a pencil and then render it a certain way and bring it to
Mm.
life on a canvas. So there isn't necessarily a dependence on the technology, but I use it in a way that will enhance the artwork.
Okay. Now, was this kind of stuff being taught to you when you were in college? Was college that sort of advanced?
No, because honestly, like, and that was one of the beautiful things about it. It was like the Wild West. Like, like we were able to kind of find ways that these things could be used within our process. So for example, like even web, like it wasn't a course that we could take in college.
Mhm.
So that's one of the reasons why a lot of the earliest web designers are actually artists, because a lot of the web places would go to the art schools and they would harvest them,
Mhm.
because they're like, you're not web designer, but you're the closest thing to it. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it wasn't being taught because it wasn't even like a course that we could take. But you would one of the beautiful things about the artistic process is that you can take something and you can m- add it to your process and make it something that works for you.
Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So moving on here. So now I guess you finish college, and I mean, what do you do? I mean, do you like do you have like a home studio and you're painting more full time-ish, or how does that part come about?
So at that point, I was still living in New York. Um, just, and for me, like the art never stops. So it always continues. So regardless of what I'm doing, like, so, but I spent a lot of time kind of like learning different things. Like, for example, I did what they call scenicking.
Hmm.
Um, so with scenicking, what you would do is you would work on sets. So for example, I had the pleasure of being able to work on a set with TLC. They used to be a big group back in the days,
Yes. Yes.
and it was one of their video shoots. And then I was the head scenic. So I painted the environment that the video was shot with. It was a Hype Williams
Yes.
video. Like he was actually big back in the days too.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's like the Hype Williams video, and they even had like a diary. So it was called the title of the video had like diary in it. My diary, dear diary, I think is the
Hmm.
song. And she even had like my diary. T-Boz was using my diary in the video. And then also too, like with No Doubt, I did some scenicking with them. So one of their, I think it's called Girlfriend or Ex-Girlfriend, is one of their videos with Gwen Stefani. So went out to California and did that video shoot. So there was a lot of kind of like experimentation. Then also was doing the web design. I was working for CBS News at the time.
Okay.
Hear the breaking news. I had the opportunity to like meet Dan Rather.
Oh,
Um,
really? Cool.
and then was even doing live artwork, live murals. So we did summer stage. We worked for Adidas under this one group. It was called Artwork in Bilashaka AM Radio.
Hmm.
So the collective of us, it was maybe about 8 different artists, all melanated, so all brothers that were in DC. And we just formed a collective, and we would go to different venues and do live artwork. So one of the productions, we did one with Lauryn Hill was on the stage at Summer Stage, and we were
Wow.
De La Soul was there, Fishbone, Al Gore,
Mm.
vice president. He was at vice president at the time. He was there
Mm.
too. So to answer your question, like after college, I just spent a lot of time just kind of networking, meeting people, and just learning the different sides of the artwork. Like
Okay. 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 And so you did a I keep saying show, but exhibit. You did an exhibit here on St. Croix at the CMC. But had you
yes,
done any exhibits prior?
yes, many done in DC, New York,
Mm,
uh,
okay.
in St. Croix, group shows, solo shows. Uh,
Okay.
so there was many up until this one.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, the one that you did on St. Croix was sort of like the theme was the woman, the black woman
Of
is
this one that I just did.
yeah, the one you just recently
Okay.
did.
So the woman that you're speaking of is actually, she would be kind of the central point of the exhibit. So if you go to the exhibit, you will see as you enter, I'm just describing it for the viewers that are watching. Um, you can find, well, yeah, you just have to go to CMC Arts. It's going to be up for maybe about another week.
Oh, really?
But
Okay, just get ready to ask if it's still there. So
yeah,
about another week. Okay.
yeah. So as you're entering in, there is a kind of like a space here you're entering into, and there's one piece that I did of Oshun,
Hmm.
um, and I think that's the one that you're mentioning. It's the one that really stood out for a lot of people. Um, but the actual theme of the show is called Espiritu Africano.
Okay.
So that it means African spirit. And the theme is basically one of celebration of the African diaspora. And
Hmm.
I wanted to celebrate like the spirit in particular, because for example, when you think of like this, the food of black folk, soul food. When you think of like the music of black folk, soul music,
Hmm.
there's that soul, there's that element, that spirit, that's so beautiful that we're able to kind of inherit that.
Hmm.
So for me, it was a way to celebrate that aspect of our culture, and in particular, kind of bring it back home. So you see a lot of imagery from St. Croix, where I come from.
Hmm. Okay. And what about some of the past exhibits you've done in the past? Were they the same theme or they're just different themes?
I tend to lean into like the African diaspora. That I
Okay.
found to be like my focus. Like I remember when I was in high school, I was walking from home up to the shanty up at the top. So
Hmm.
like I was walking to Center Line, and then I remember passing through the neighborhood, and then just feeling an immense amount of pride. Like I'm very proud to be Crucian. I'm very proud to be Puerto Rican. I'm very proud of the culture, that this body that I was born into. That no shame here, pride, 100%, 110%.
I got you.
Because there's a beauty to it. And I think we all have that beauty. We all, regardless of your ethnicity, we all should have that kind of pride.
Hmm.
um but also acknowledging, like, our oneness. Like, it's not ethnicity, it's not necessarily a race. We tend to focus so much on race. It's not a race, we're
Hmm.
ethnicity. But to go back to that, I was very proud to be able to kind of walk through that neighborhood and to say that I'm coming from here. But then, like, I'm thinking back on like mainstream media, and I'm not seeing the representation that we deserve. And then two, when we do get the representation, it's not what I see. It's not this wholesome environment of a fully formed family with, you know, husband and wife and children playing in the yard. It's a very different portrayal that I'm seeing in media. And I'm
Mm,
like, why? You know, like I'm in high school wondering why. And I decided, I was like, okay, so I have this gift that's visual. So regardless of how much change I'm going to be able to make, I'm going to create artwork to shift that narrative. So
mm.
all of my shows have been in that theme. So the last solo show that I had at CMC Arts was called Black Saints.
Okay.
You know, and it was a play off of, you know, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, you know.
Oh, okay, okay, I got you.
So, you know, it's just a play off of all of my titles kind of are, you know, there's a little play in there.
Mm,
But then also too, speaking to the peoples of the Virgin Islands and also Black saints, like how often do we really celebrate saints of African origin? You know,
mm,
oftentimes you see saints of other origins kind of like portrayed with and celebrated, but how often does it happen to us? And just really realizing that we need to be elevated to that platform also so that we can join everyone
mm,
else. Like for
mm,
example, like I can say like, you know, like if we recognize, for example, our medicine or our religion, oftentimes when people talk about, you know, other practices, if I said I was going to go to and see like a Chinese acupuncturist, some people would be like, oh yeah, great. Or if I was going to say I was going to get a shiatsu massage, they would say great. But when I start talking about um, things that are coming and medical healing practices that are of African origin, people would be like, I don't really know about, I don't really understand it. So for me, I'm using my platform to be able to bring some of this up.
bring it to light, yeah.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit too. You mentioned in the beginning that you do some kind of martial arts, Brazilian,
Yeah.
African. If
So
how'd you get into that?
yeah, so I'm in college. Another beautiful experience in college. I was a what was it? Sophomore in
Mm,
college. My second year. I'm hearing drums at my dorm, 23rd Street in Lexington. So and I'm wondering, like, I love music too, like, so I love sound. So I'm walking around, and I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
mm,
So I was on the third floor, and I'm walking around to like people's doors, you know, like, okay, it's coming from someplace here, but I couldn't identify it. So I go downstairs, walk around, and then I'm looking up, and then I'm okay, it's not there. So I walk around the corner, and then the sound is getting stronger, right? And then I found it. It was in the building right next to us. So that's why I was hearing it, because the walls sometimes
mm,
are thin. It's just two layers of bricks, right?
mm.
So I could hear the drums. So I buzzed up. New York, you know, you got to buzz up.
Yeah.
They let me up, and then I go inside, and it's just like this beautiful world, because I have a martial art background, right? So I studied Shotokan back in the days in St. Croix. I studied Taekwondo with
Mm.
Master Charles, and
Okay.
said um, the Jerry Otto with Okinawa Shorin-ryu. But then I always felt like I needed something else. So I walk into this space and I see all these practitioners of capoeira, like they're jumping around, they're doing the martial arts. It's a very dynamic style. So if you haven't seen it, imagine breakdancing mixed with taekwondo. So they're
Mm.
doing all these amazing kicks, but at the same time they're getting down on the ground, they're spinning, they're using, it's basically you can attack from any angle essentially.
Oh,
And
okay.
you're doing it to music. So
Okay.
not only are you like doing all this dynamic stuff, but you have people there like playing the drums, playing the beating bow,
Yeah.
and they're
The
singing
the
too. So,
conga and all that. Yeah.
so yeah, well, you know, they call it the atabaki. The conga, our conga in our world is called atabaki in the Brazilian
Brazilian
Afro.
bro.
So they have the atabaki. They have an instrument that's called the beating bow, which is predates almost every other instrument. It's one of the original monochords
Mm-hmm.
And they have like a little calabash on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm seeing all of this, and I was just mesmerized. I'm a sophomore in college, and I have not stopped since that day.
Okay. So we have a comment here. We have one comment. I'm gonna put it. Look at your screen there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Stormy. I appreciate you seeing the show and taking it in. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So were you able to hang around for your showing here, or you kind of
Yeah,
set up and left?
yeah. So no, so for me, it's very important to be able to like be with the community. Um, so I was actually able to be there for the opening, which was fantastic. But because as we mentioned, Joyce was there, her mother was there, Anna, my mother was there, Carmen, my father, Mark, my aunt and uncle, Aunt Katie and Uncle Eddie, uh,
Mm-hmm.
sister, I have three sisters, but one of my sisters attended, Ife, my cousin Michael, Joyce was there. So it was my cousin's wife, Virginia, my sons,
Mm-hmm.
Amari and Ade. So that just became a little shout out. So but yeah, they were all present. And then also just everyone that I didn't mention, I had tons of family and friends that came through, and then just the public in general. So it was a good time. We had salsa music playing. It was good.
Okay. Cool, man. Cool. So what are you up to these days?
So honestly, like the show's still on, so it's still happening. But
Okay.
what I plan to do in the future is I have a couple projects that I want to kind of get into. Like even while I was there, I was imagining some of the new things that I'll be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple solo like commissions that I'll be working on, like one piece paintings for private purposes, and then also I, you hear about some of this stuff. I don't feel like I could really drop everything here right now,
Understood, man. Understood.
and it's gonna be exciting.
Okay. Okay. So you got some things in the works. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but too
So
early.
what do you do with all your artwork that's there? Are you gonna come back and bring it back to where you live, or how does that work?
Well, with any show, one of the things you want to do is sell as much as possible. So I was blessed to be able to sell some of the artwork. So that's a very thankful that it won't all be coming back. But
Okay.
what I'm also gonna try and do is set it up so that um, some of it travels to St. John,
Okay.
and that's
Got you.
the thing that's kind of in the works. So that's a conversation that yeah, that will definitely follow. So if the work can kind of travel a little bit, that'll be great.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good, man. Anything you wanted to add to sound like you had a very kind of fun, exciting life there as an artist, man.
It's definitely been a blessing. I give thanks every day. I honestly, I would do this in the quiet of my space, but it's beautiful to be able to do it in a way that I find is able to kind of like have an effect on the community, like as Stormy mentioned or other people kind of mentioned, that the artwork is able to kind of connect with them and maybe kind of change their perspective on certain things or maybe reinforce certain ideas that they have. um, that to me is just like the ultimate blessing, because like I feel like we all have purpose on this planet, and it feels good to be living within mine.
Yeah.
um
One last question. So, what do you think art and being an artist is going? I mean, when you started out, there was no internet, and that came about. Now
mhm,
you got drawing and painting by hand and internet and web page design. I mean, what
mhm.
do you foresee coming up maybe 10 years from now in the world of art?
I think right now the world really needs artists, because like in general, if we were to look at the world that's around us, there's so much change and there's so much polarization.
Hmm.
People like taking different sides, like politically. You know, um, the world is pretty intense right now. So I think the role of the artist may even be more important than in other times, because one of the beautiful things about an artist is that they can go into a space and they just create from essentially almost like nothing. And there's a magic to that, because you're going into what most people see as just being like this very static space that cannot change. But the beauty of an artist, they can go in and they can create this whole other world, essentially, whether it be through music, you know, and the way that it kind of, or visuals, and the way that it affects you and can enhance your world, but also kind of change perspective and maybe help people kind of see eye to eye, empathize. Like right now, I think there's so much need for people to be able to empathize in this world and kind of see where each other stands, you know, release the ego. So our role is very important right now.
Okay, good, man. Great, man. I want to thank you for coming on the show, the podcast tonight. Mark Milligan the second.
Yes.
I'm not even going to make an attempt to pronounce your nickname.
Feijao.
Feijao, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I love art, and you know, it's you know, it's just you know, the world through your eyes. Whether you draw it, paint it, or you do it digitally through, you know, I think you use you sent me some stuff via Canvas, canvas.com.
Canva, yeah.
Canva.
But as far as like platform that I can share, like if you're mentioning something that people could kind of use to be able to look at the artwork, I have an Instagram profile, I have a website, and pretty much you can
yeah, please share those things.
Yeah, you can find me anywhere, most Facebook, Instagram, my website is all Mark Milligan Art.
Okay.
So on Instagram, it's Mark Milligan Art. On Facebook, it's Mark Milligan Art, and my website is markmilliganart.com.
Okay, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We've been working on this for the last, I don't know, month, 6 weeks, just trying to coordinate and get.
Yes.
And we finally got it.
Yes.
We finally got it together, man. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hopefully, when you come back to St. Croix, man, I'll be able to meet you. I know Joyce did mention it about the show, but I couldn't get down there during that time frame. But I think I did see some pictures. What someone, I guess, took. I guess it was a CMC artist or a photographer took some pictures and put it on their Facebook page. So I did see those things as well, man. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
And continue to be positive, be strong. And we look forward to seeing you again, man.
Sound good. Give thanks, man.
All right, man.
Okay.
One love.
One love.
All right, everybody. That's it for tonight. This is the HR Perspective Talk Show every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. and until. Our guest tonight is Mark Milligan II. He is an artist, a fine artist, a digital designer, a capoeirista. Did I get that right?
Capoeirista, yeah.
Capoeirista. I got to roll those R's. Capoeirista. Thank you, Mark. Be safe, man.
All right.
All right, man. We're out. Peace.